Now our personalized parent-child Q&A session with Dr. Uma Soman, Listening Together, Dr. Amy Parker, EDD Comms, Portland State University, Frank Hughes, Colonial School District, Delaware, Aubrey Therian, Epic Players, Nicole D'Angelo, Epic Players, and Dr. Wendy Sapp, our moderator from Bridge Multimedia.
Thank you for all of your presentations. All right, we have quite a few questions here, and I'm going to just start with the first one that we received, and it's for Epic, actually. How do we get into these Epic classes? So Aubrey or Nicole, would you like to answer that?
I can take that. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and thanks to the other panelists. Those were so great. To get into the Epic classes, you can go to our website, www.epicplayersnyc.org. I see someone posted in the chat. Thank you, Megan. And you can register online right there. They're free. So once you register, you'll see our May classes, which are virtual, all on Zoom. We also have social events. Once you register, we'll get in contact with you, send you all of our Zoom links and passwords for the classes you signed up for, see if you need any kind of special accommodations, and then you can enjoy the class. And if you're a teacher, we can also kind of give you access to our virtual game library as well, so you can use it in your classrooms.
Great, thank you. We have a question that asks if a child, and I'm not sure who this was directed to, but it says, if a child has a hard time figuring out what to do if they have trouble with a task, what do you do? Perhaps Amy, would you like to tackle that first, and then?
So if a child is having trouble with a specific task at home, a real nice principle is just part of a task, not thinking of a whole task to do, but maybe a small chunk of something that the child can do to feel successful. So I try to stack the deck to where if it's the smallest amount of a thing that a person can do, that they immediately, when they do that with me, a part of a task. So let's say they're helping load the dishwasher, or they're helping pull laundry out of the dryer, or they're helping with a small task at home. If they can do just one of those pieces of things, then I try to make it fun, try to recognize them for the smallest thing that they've done and build from there. So again, breaking things down, and sometimes there's something that's really naturally reinforcing in an activity. Like it's very naturally reinforcing for many children to pull out really warm clothes, or to set the table and feel very proud that they've helped the family in some way. So again, I would think of breaking it down into smaller tasks. And you may have also been thinking about Frank, some of the tasks around physical activity, and he might want to address that.
Yeah, exactly on that. Some of the tasks to make them exciting, make it different. Again, I was talking about breaking things down to the most simplest form, or really knowing your child's ability. And like in some of the videos, I forget now where it was, but the getting frustrated, Amy Dornier, getting frustrated by the end, and really trying to motivate and act like your child's won the World Series when they've completed the task, and really trying to find that energy to build really what might help improve.
Thank you, Amy and Frank. The next question that we have is from Alicia Nielsen. Do you have any suggestions on how to explain to the student or the parents to place the device in a place where we can see everyone well? One student who we can only see the right side of their face. Help. She has limited verbal skills, so it's hard to explain to her over Zoom. Anybody want to tackle that? Maybe our drama people?
Sure. And Nicole, if you want to hop in too, we have this trouble often, so we empathize with you. Most recently, I did a kind of FaceTime and Zoom with the child and the parent, in which I was able to model what I was asking them to do. So it does require you to have two devices, but I was able to say, okay, now stand up and take your computer and turn to the right, just like I'm doing with my computer, and then I put it here, and just walk through the steps. It did take about 30 minutes of time and a separate meeting to do, but then it enabled that person to go into our Zoom classes with a much clearer frame, no lights behind them. We were able to see their whole face. So as like other panelists are saying, it's very individualized, but I would say using 2 devices and modeling the behaviors and having some concentrated time to work with the parent and the child would be super helpful with that.
If I could add, we had one instance of this in an EPIC class where we had one of our players, we could not hear him. No matter what he did, we could not hear him. And, no matter how many directions, it was just really hard to get him to be audible. And so what we did a few times is like literally one of us just called him, put him on speakerphone, and then like we put the phone next to the computer so everybody could hear him until we figured out how he could be audible. So you can have like really creative kind of like basic solutions like that as well.
Thank you, Aubrey and Nicole. Our next question is for Dr. Soman from Mariana at the GBYS program in Indiana. And she asked, what would you recommend would be helpful for accommodations for children with CIs if schools go back to presenting classes?
Thank you for that question, Mariana. I would suggest for children who are using cochlear implants to really, truly use their assistive listening devices. If they have a Roger FMDM system, to figure out the Bluetooth streaming options that are available. And I'm learning about these along with all of you. So direct access to the audio, but then also an option to have captioning. With some of the older students I'm working with, I'm using Google Slides to present information and have the caption on. It is far from ideal. It is not the same as having a cart reporter, but it provides enough access, enough visual access, something to go back to that the students can continue. I've also realized that in group settings, if multiple people are talking and the presenter has a share screen model and not everybody who's talking is visible or enough of their face is visible, looking at the person to listen and speech read, get visual cues from the face has been really difficult. So advocating for that would be my suggestion. The final suggestion I would make is just like we do in our in-person school settings, pre-teaching, pre-learning about what is coming up in these classes would be extremely helpful so the student isn't walking in blind and has something to fall back on. I hope that answers your question. Email me if you want to talk more.
Thank you, Uma. The next question is for Frank, and someone has written, how can we support students with physical limitations in identifying personal success in physical activity?
How can we attack physical limitation? Like I said in the beginning, it's your assessment. So determining, what physically are you looking for your child or that student to complete, or what motion are you looking to complete? With a lot of my students who have more physical limitations, I really use 3 objects, actually, about a 12-inch stick that's like a 3/4 pipe, a beanbag, and a ball. And you can determine so many physical things by those 3 objects. Can they open their hands wide enough to accept the beanbag? Can they open their hands wide enough to accept the ball? How long will they grasp on a bar? And when you determine those things, well, now we can implement them in. Is that going to be that bar going to be the bat? Okay. Or is that ball going to be a target or a switch? So, you can use those objects as your assessment point, and then you go from there. So is your skill to do throwing? Well, how high up can their arm go? Do they know their release points? Again, breaking skills down and breaking the functions down to the simplest form, finding your child's abilities, and then build them up to where your end goal, where you want them to be. So I hope that answers it. It's it's a little bit broad, but really just those 3 objects. There's a lot you can learn by just using those 3 objects.
Thank you, Frank. That was great. Amy, the next question is for you. Do you have more example videos to share on serve and return or other teaching techniques?
I really love videos, and what's great about the video that I shared with you today is that it's still shared with that mom and child. We actually have stayed in touch over time. I do have other videos to share, and I could direct you to some on YouTube. It might be easier than me just talking through a list of videos than just to point you. But I also would say direct your attention to the Paths to Literacy website, which has a host of lesson plans, described images, pictures, and a doctoral student at Portland State University, Linda Haygood, who I mentioned in the presentation, has been really working on playing with words and playing with stories, and there are a host of videos there on the Perkins website.
Thank you, Amy. Our next question is for any of you, it says. It's from Donna Grant. Do you ever offer training for parents in rural Georgia, the mountains? They may not be as in tune with what it takes to help their child. So would anybody like to speak to what could be done for training parents?
I can start. Okay. So when our school went online, we decided that we needed to start with an orientation session to talk to the parents about what the expectations would be and how they would be participating. We've always believed that parents are the most important member of the IEP team until the child themselves can be the most important member. And just because early intervention was over and we were no longer doing home visits, the parents had somewhat taken a back seat, and we had let them take a back seat. This was an opportunity to have the parents be center stage to support their child. So we've had several sessions at school where the child hasn't been able to participate for one reason or another, but the parent has participated the whole 40 minutes or 45 minutes and has carried over what they have learned into the rest of the day, the rest of the week.
I also wanted to mention that through the Facebook or YouTube page, I set one up. It's called All Abilities Welcome, and I post how-to videos, and my intent is to use materials that are in the average home, and here's activities that you can do. Now, I did purchase PVC pipe to build materials, but through the Facebook, there is a messaging link. Parents have emailed me. I get individualized with the parents and the kids to say, let's look at your students' or your child's abilities and what is the skill that you'd like. Okay, let's talk it out and let's build from there. So going to All Abilities Welcome. If you do have questions, please email me. I love to help and explore the different options for building and getting your child more active and participating at home.
I would just say, Wendy, the best trainings of all are where parents are fully partners. I learned the most from partnership with parents. In that little video that you saw, Carson's mom was in the room with me at all times and engaging with me. I think that the leaders in our field, including Wendy and some others, have really created models where parents are at the table with the training going on, that we kind of learn and teach each other. And yes, it is helpful. I am a parent myself of a child with a disability. It's very helpful to have that role where sometimes I can just be the parent. I don't have to know all of the depth of information. I can just be the parent. But I love that when I can partner with professionals who listen to me, who can incorporate my ideas and then add their own and give us some new paths to explore as a family.
Thank you, all of you, for these wonderful suggestions. I think that is all the time we have for questions. Thanks to Nicole and Uma and Aubrey and Frank and Amy, and to all of you for watching.